views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Welcome to the transformative show, We Carry the Light, with host Dr. Susan Allison, the show that inspires you to find the light within and shine your light in the world. Who are you right now? And who do you want to be? What is it that makes you happy, helps you feel fulfilled, and living your purpose? Tune in and let Dr. Susan help you discover that you carry the unique light that only you can shine. Now, here is your host, Dr. Susan Allison.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to We Carry the Light, where, as I say every time I'm on the air, that you find inspiration for transformation, and you do with all of my marvelous, amazing guests. So I am so glad you're here. And I always say that too, and I mean it, that I wouldn't have a show without all of you. So I know that you're either listening live or perhaps to my archive show. So as some of you know, I am now doing my show on the second and fourth Thursdays, not weekly, but still at 10 a.m. Pacific. So on the second Thursday, I will still be interviewing fascinating guests and talking about all the life issues that are important to us all. On the fourth Thursday, I will be co-hosting with Dr. Pat, and that is still at transformationtalkradio.com or the Dr. Pat Show network, and that will be beginning on March 24th. And I know that we have a series that's amazing, and you're going to love it. So, back to today. I always tell you what's going on for me, and I'm a little tired this morning because I was awake at 3 a.m. thinking about a client who's going through a really difficult time. I did a soul retrieval for this person last night, and I did a shamanic journey as well, and met with some of my spirit guides who are helping me know how this client can best heal. And I've shared this with you before, but I've been a shamanic practitioner since 1993, and I love using shamanic journey with, I would say, probably 90% of my therapy clients. You know, I do this in person and also by the phone and by Skype, people all over the world. And recently, in fact, in LA, I was giving a book talk for my new released book, You Don't Have to Die to Go to Heaven, How to Find Guidance and Healing in the Spirit Realms. So I was giving a talk at a bookstore in Los Angeles, and I was sharing with the audience that shamanism, shamanic work is becoming mainstreamed, which means that more people are knowing about it and using this incredible technique, this method, really than ever before. And we were discussing how meditation and yoga are common practices, but used to be thought of as kind of woo-woo and, done in Berkeley and Santa Cruz, California, where I live. But otherwise, people would sort of raise their eyebrows and shake their heads at yoga and meditation. And now there's so many yoga centers here in my town and probably in yours. And meditation is a common practice for many of us. And now shamanic journey work is becoming a common practice as well, which I'm thrilled about. While I was in LA, someone invited me to this huge festival in the fall. Well, I'll present my book there and do workshops. And apparently there have been meditation and yoga events or workshops there for years, but never any shamanic work. So I'm excited to bring shamanism to as many people as I can. So as always, and I know you probably get tired of hearing me say that the perfect guest shows up. If you build it, they will come sort of thing. And whatever I'm going through and perhaps what you're going through, it feels like the perfect guest shows up exactly on the day that we need this person. So today we have Michael Stone, who has spent most of his vocational life as a corporate organizational development consultant communications specialist, and leadership trainer. For over 3 decades, he's worked with Fortune 500 companies, and he's the host of KVMR's award-winning show, Conversations, Possibilities, and Perspectives on Local and Global Issues. The show focuses on environmental restoration, spiritual fulfillment, evolutionary cosmology, community building, wellness, and social justice. I think more important for today's show is that he is also a shamanic teacher and practitioner and a graduate of Sandra Ingerman's Shamanic Teachers Program. His book, Organizational Shamanism, Revitalizing the Spirit of Work, is due to be published in the fall of 2016. So, Michael, I'm so glad that you're here.
Susan, it's good to be with you. Thanks so much for having me on your show.
You're so welcome. And see, you have a cold, Michael, and so now my throat's acting up. So I think you somehow shared your germs over the Skype network here or something. I'm gonna
Spirit likes to share, you know.
You're so good at sharing, Michael. Thank you. So I'd love to start, and I do this with every guest, I'd love to start with something more personal, which is how you started this journey that's on the shamanic path. How did that happen for you? Because it looks like a lot of your life you've been in the corporate world.
Yeah, I have been in the corporate world a lot of my life, and my company's motto was bringing heart and meaning into the workplace. Still is, although I'm mostly retired and teaching. But my real first shamanic teacher was actually Gabrielle Roth, and people often don't think of her as a shamanic teacher, but believe me, she was. And we started working together in 1974. And so, and that's why I've been such a big proponent, probably, of embodied shamanism. And then, of course, Sandy and I met, and it's been a wonderful love and great teaching. I just admire her, and she's one of the most authentic and grounded shamanic practitioners I've ever met, and we continue to work together. And in fact, I'll be teaching at her new teachers training, which will be in a couple weeks.
Wonderful. Didn't she originally start with Michael Harner?
She did, yes.
Yeah, because my first experience was with Michael Harner's work. Similar. And then Hank Wesselman is a good friend of mine, and he and Sandy are good friends.
Yeah, I love Hank, too.
I love Hank and Jill, his wife Jill. And when you were speaking about authentic, I've worked with 4 shamans, and definitely Hank and Jill are the most authentic of any I've worked with. They're wonderful, wonderful people. So how do you use shamanism at the corporate level? I mean, that's not going to be the thrust of our conversation today, but I'm just curious.
Well, it's a hard sell, but most of the time I use it in the background. There isn't anything in traditional organizational development that can't be enhanced with shamanism, whether it's basic analysis of the situation, or team building, or leadership, or conflict resolution, strategic planning, all the things that fall, creativity certainly, all the things that fall under the banner of organizational development. You know, it's really a perfect fit. I tell my clients that it's like having a whole team of $500 an hour consultants with your power animals and spirit guides, you know.
That's right.
What, you know, traditionally a OD person would be making, you know, that kind of money. And here you have it as a direct revelation. So why not use that? So that's a short answer to it.
Yeah, interesting. It just interests me. Have you ever led like a group of people at the corporate level, led them in trance in a group?
I have, yes.
Oh, cool. Because I've done that as well. And I think, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, they're skeptical at first, but then blown away by the answers and the wisdom they receive.
Yeah, oftentimes just one journey will awaken them to the possibilities.
Exactly right. So why do you love shamanic work? What is it about shamanic work that you feel is sort of an answer, or that you feel you want to be of service now that you're just teaching and in order to help people and so on? Why do you love it?
Well, my entire life, I've been a pretty strong environmental advocate.
Mm-hmm.
And, the issues that we have now in terms of, my show, Conversations, is an author showcase, environmental, social justice, and spiritual authors. And the reason is because if you have an environmental problem, you have a social justice problem immediately. They're not going to build it in my backyard, kind of thing.
Yep.
And if you have a social justice problem, you instantly have a spiritual problem. Well, shamanism is the oldest spiritual practice on the planet.
That's
and
right.
In fact, all major religions have fundamentally taken from the shamanic practices of the last, some people say, 100,000 years of shamanism. So it was natural for me as an environmentalist, and recognizing that if people in the corporate world didn't get in touch with the web of life and their relationship to nature,
Mm-hmm.
then we were doomed, basically. So my mission has always been to, in the background, honor the spirit of the elements and the spirit of life and the web of life. And so that's always there when I'm working with people. So it was a natural progression, really, the combination of being an environmentalist and being someone who loved to dance and embodied.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized as I got into shamanism that there was a danger in shamanism of people being disembodied, and that's been a big thing. And that actually came from early on Michael Harner and other people's work in anthropology and translating what's been the tradition of working in community and dancing and hooping and hollering and shouting and shaking your butt,
Yes.
To get in touch with and get out of the mind and into the body, and then be able to go into the body and into the non-ordinary reality and the spirit world. But what's happened is that many people have begun to practice shamanism as an out-of-body experience, and that's all nice.
Yep.
It's like taking drugs. You have a great high, and when you're done, so what? And so for me, teaching embodied shamanism and the work I do around narrative, which comes from the shamanic practice of community, is where I'm trying to really get people into their body, into the roots of shamanism, so they actually produce results. And that's the reason shamanism has survived, number one, for all these thousands of years, but also why it's appropriate for the corporate world, because it's about producing results. And in the corporate world, everything is about producing results.
Exactly, and action. And so I love that's your focus. And is there I want to head into your new course at the Shift Network and talk about that, but do you have a short, like a definition of embodied shamanism, since that is sort of the title, of, well, at least the main title of your course when you go to the Shift Network. So what would you say for people who say, what the heck is embodied shamanism?
Sure. Well, that was actually the last course I taught for Shift.
Yep.
This one coming up is Embodied Shamanism Mentorship Program, and it's about shape-shifting into a new narrative for your life. And when I'm talking about embodied shamanism, basically I'm saying when you journey and go into the upper, lower, and middle worlds, or into the light, whichever way, there are many ways to journey, but traditionally we work with the three worlds.
Yes.
And you, hold on just a second, sorry about that. And so when you journey, you don't go out of your body. You take your body with you. You take all your senses. A powerful journey is that you see yourself in the place that you're going. You smell the plants and the trees. You feel the air on your skin. You hear the sounds. You feel it in your body. Even when shape-shifting in the classical sense, you are still in your body and entering into the body of an animal or a tree or whatever it is you're shape-shifting with to receive guidance. So it's really that simple. It's when you journey, you don't go from your head, you take your whole being and your body and your heart. And it's a very heart-centered practice, which
Yes.
is, according to the heart math work, which I believe is true, the electromagnetic field of the heart is 5,000 times greater than that of the brain. Why aren't we using that? Well, because we're mostly disembodied, and working in the corporate world, I worked, my entire career with, I used to say, heads on sticks that only had bodies to carry their head to meetings. So it's been a big mission of mine, and it's interesting. Embodiment is harder to sell in the corporate world than shamanism is.
I'll bet. That's so true. I mean, I have been in the academic world at the college level and so on, and I have to tell you that I have thought of the academic world as beings with heads on sticks that live from the neck up. And, has driven me crazy all my life. And so I love this embodied shamanism. And I'd like you to talk about your new course at the Shift Network. And I want to get into some of the modules of it with you.
Yeah. Well, the whole program, let's see where to start here. So let me say a little bit more about my work, because one other aspect of my work that needs to be understood is if you go back in traditional shamanism, healings were done in community. All the work was generally done in community. And there's a number of reasons for that. One is just the sheer power and energy in working in the community. But more than that, when you're in a community, which we're all in communities, we don't realize that who we are is not a personal matter. It's really held in the conversations of our community. A good example of that is if you go home for Thanksgiving dinner and you suddenly, you're a 40 or 50-year-old woman or man, and you go home, and all of a sudden you're with your brothers and sisters and parents, and you're 5. And you're, all the ways you were when you were a kid are the ways you're still being held, even though you're a successful person out in the world. By the same token, in organizations, one of the challenges is the veil of familiarity that I work with when I work in an organizational setting, and that is challenging to pierce through. So I was very involved in studying narrative psychology and the work of a number of different people who, particularly Louis Mel Madrona, one of my favorite people who works with the narrative work. And so in this work, a huge part of this next course is to step into a new narrative for your life, a new story. We walk around acting as though we're bit players. I mean, we don't consciously do that, but we're acting as though we're bit players in someone else's story. And so we give up our power to our identity and the survival of our identity. And when we're, traditionally teaching and learning, particularly in the transformational or personal growth realm, has been about trying to fix something, trying to change something. So we struggle with trying to change our habitual behavior, trying to stop smoking or stop being poor all the time and make money, or get the right man or the right woman, or all of these things. We're trying to fix ourselves to get there. But in reality, there's nothing broken. It's just a story that we live in.
Exactly.
And so we're living inside of a story with these beliefs and assumptions that are self-reinforcing, because everything we do to try to change it is only saying that it's so, because everything is happening right now all the time. So why would you try to change something unless it were so? So in the narrative work that I do in the shamanic journeys, and I do shamanic journeys a little bit differently in this course. I pre-record them, and I embed different kinds of music in them also to assist in it because, that's what five rhythms teachers do. We work with music. So I do traditional work, but I do bring in lots of different kinds of music. So I take people on all kinds of different journeys. In fact, this is a 14-week course that I'm doing now, and every course has 2 pre-recorded journeys that I lay out and record and take people, whether it's a dismemberment journey to, let go of old parts, whether it's remembering lost soul parts, all of the work I do in the journeys, I've really laid out. So there's every class has 2 of those. So, so basically, I'm working with people to get the tools to move from being a player in their life to the author of their life. And that doesn't mean to change anything. It means to create a larger context for your story and a greater sense of purpose in terms of divine purpose, so that the gifts and strengths that have been handed down to you are more fully expressed in the world.
Wonderful. I love how you're combining so many things. It feels so much more whole in terms of what you're gathering and sharing with participants. So just quickly tell people who are listening how they can sign up for this course. Let's talk about that and also give them your website.
Yeah. Let's see. I guess, I forgot you can go to shamanismcourse.com. That's the easiest way. You can, if people email me, I can send them some recordings of interviews, particularly with Stephen Dinan, that gives a good description and get them all the information. So that's Michael at Well of Light, Michael at WELLOFLIGHT.com, Michael at welloflight.com. And that way I can send you things that I can't give you a link for, but I'm happy to send out recordings. We did a beautiful Q&A last night with a journey actually in it, and so I could even send that to you.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And then your website is welloflight.com?
Yes, that's the hub for all my websites.
Wonderful. And they could also probably just Google the Shift Network, and your course is going to be listed there, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. Go to the Shift Network and sign up that way. Yeah. So let's talk specifically about your course. And I really liked how you began with grounding. And I think it's really important because I have worked with a lot of people, and I have, I call it my 20-somethings group that I work with. And they want to be out of body. And they want to go to Peru and they want to take ayahuasca. And they're into that, to not being embodied. And so I liked how you started the course with, you call it cultivating presence or grounding. And say something about the importance of that.
Well, it's actually grounding in reality.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the issue. And what you're saying is absolutely true. So many people are doing ayahuasca journeys. And, ayahuasca is not really something to be fooled around with. She's a very powerful teacher, and
that's right.
And many people get value from it. But if it's not giving you the life that you want, giving you a life you love, then what's the point? It's just taking drugs and having a good high, which I never thought of doing ayahuasca as a good high, actually. But
me either. I'm friends with Alberto Villoldo, and he had some very terrifying experiences on ayahuasca when he was working with shamans in Peru. And I don't really, I have enough going on without being devoured by a jaguar. Thank you.
Yes, I know that Alberto story, and I've had my own stories the same as that too.
Yeah.
But so we start with just grounding ourselves in reality. What does that mean? It means you're in your body, your feet are on the floor. It means you become aware of the constant chatter in the head and begin to recognize how that chatter in your head really relates to how you're living your life. So in the first module, we're really looking to deepen our sense of presence, and so that we can align with the possibility, the potential of the course, and maximize the course. And so we get a foundation there, and I teach grounding a lot, and different than meditation, different tools that are more, well, in meditation is often internal. I'm looking at tools that help us to be more present in the external world, with our focus and awareness, because focus and intention is at the heart of all of our shamanic work, and out of that, then people realize where a lot of energy goes. And you mentioned wholeness, and it's really a journey to wholeness. And the word integrity, which is really what the second module is about, primarily means to be whole and complete. And most of us have a lot of energy that's being drained out because we're not complete. And so I work with people in that second module to access and reclaim the power that's being used in all the energy it takes to suppress the things that are undone that you said you would do, and the conversations that are undone, and the stories that are undone, and to reclaim our own power and our own personal energy, and to overcome the inertia of normality, and the world we live in is a world of lack of integrity, and lack of awareness. So that's huge. And from there, then I work with people to get into their body, and learn how important it is, and practice working with the senses and the physical and sensual patterns, to a lot of people come to me and to other practitioners. We talk about this a lot, and they want a soul retrieval. And and I actually love doing soul retrievals, quite frankly. But if a person, does a soul retrieval and recognizes that, yes, some part of themselves has been suppressed, been disassociated from an early trauma, and I don't bring people back into the trauma, I bring them to those places. So let's say it's creativity, or having an open heart, or being able to be sensual, or there's so many things that get suppressed from our early traumas and experiences, from anywhere from being yelled at, or being in an accident, or being molested, or all of those things create soul loss. If the person who then recognizes that, yes, I'm missing that part of my life and I want to reclaim it, but if they don't go out and do anything and change the patterns in their life and the conversations that they have, both coming out of their mouth, which is creating their world, and that other people that are in community with them continue to hold about them, then no change happens.
That's right.
And so, it is possible, without even having to do a soul journey, to remember the lost soul parts. And so we work with that aspect of it, but then anchoring those in reality, in our body and in our conversations, in our dialogue, and in our narrative.
Yeah,
So
I love how you bring everything back to the real world, our real life, the action that we need to take to truly change our lives for the better, to be happier and more full of joy, to live our soul's purpose here, so that it's I'm really getting this sense in terms of this embodiment is about living here on the planet the best way we can, having the best lives that we possibly can create.
Yeah.
I love that because, see, a lot of shamanic work is it's disembodied in terms of trainings that I've done since the early 90s. So we're going to need to take a break, and
Great.
we will give you a chance to drink some water, tea for your cold. It's a wonderful conversation. I'm so happy to be here with Michael Stone, and we will be right back.
I'm sailing away, set an open course for the virgin sea.
Put a little woohoo in your life with Keys. Keys Clear Protein Waters have 22 grams of smile-making, attitude-adjusting protein in every bottle. Did I mention its tongue-tingling taste? Not just another guilty pleasure. With Keys, you'll enjoy every low-sugar sip and freedom from gluten, lactose, and GMOs. Who needs the fountain of youth when you can find Keys on Amazon or at Keys, Kees, please.com. Put a little woohoo in your attitude with Keys Protein Water.
A word of caution. If you prefer the status quo and you are not interested in improving every aspect of your life, this book will trigger the shift out of you. The Truth is Funny, Shift Happens is available now. Author Colette Steffen brings the powerful knowledge and life-changing energy and empowerment from the radio airwaves to the pages of her new book. To get your copy in paperback or ebook, visit thetruthisfunny.com today.
Shine On Radio. Find Your Shine with Kelly is the show that celebrates what makes you, you. Join co-hosts Kelly Wadler and Dr. Pat Basili as they break down how to brilliantly fuel and move your body and love what makes you shine. Kelly is a professional arts and wellness coach dedicated to helping brilliant women find their confidence, energy, self-love, and shine. Tune in to Shine On Radio with Kelly and find your shine on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Hi, I'm Leslie Fontaine with Sheer Alchemy on Transformation Talk Radio, and here's your tip of the day. What happens after we shift? An energetic shift can be disconcerting. When you shift from the known to the unknown, you literally are going into unknown territory without the former rules and constraints that held you in check. You feel happiness and joy, but you're nervous about not knowing what's next. Even happiness can be unfamiliar. You just don't have the guardrails. No one's telling you, it's dangerous, stop, you'll get hurt. Plunge in, leap, taste it. Listen to your intuitive guidance. Let yourself step beyond the boundaries that you've known and challenge yourself to listen to your intuitive guidance, to your higher self, and learn what you were placed here to do. I'm Leslie Fontaine. Visit me at lesliefontaine.com or call 678-665-3366.
What is a Master Soul Gardener? With Nomi Bahar, you can be one too. Her revolutionary Gates of Power method is a comprehensive program that addresses every aspect of yourself and gives you the tools to tend to the seeds of your soul's garden. Let Nomi guide you through and beyond what's holding you back and help you embrace the life you've always dreamed of. To learn more about upcoming classes and workshops, visit gatesofpower.com today.
Free to face a life that's ahead of me.
Welcome back, everyone, to We Carry the Light. I'm Dr. Susan, and I'm here with Michael Stone, and we're having a wonderful conversation about shamanism, and it's really the new shamanism in terms of taking all the ancient practices and really making them make sense to us in this crazy world we live in right now. Everything's so fast, and really embodying the shamanism and really changing our lives here and now, in the present, and creating the life that we truly want. So welcome back, Michael, for this next segment.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we were talking about, soul loss and recovering our lost parts and being able to change our lives. And that's one of the modules in your course. So please mention the name of the course again and when it starts so that people who are just tuning in can hear that.
Yeah, it's called the Embodied Shamanism Mentorship Program, Shape-Shifting into a New Narrative for Your Life. And it starts actually next Wednesday. And it's a 14-week course through the Shift Network. And again, if you go to the Shift Network, you'll just get the information. But if people want to email me, I will send you Stephen's the interview that we did, which will give you a lot of information about the course and my thinking about it. It's really not a sales pitch. It's really a deep dive into this work. And that's Michael, Michael, at welloflight, light.com. So that would be a good way to get a hold of me, or to send me any questions you have about what we're talking about today.
Wonderful. And also, I'm going to put all of this on Facebook and all my other social media, so that those people who are connected to me can find out about you and your new course.
Great.
Yes. So you know, you're shape-shifting. The word shape-shifting is in the title of your course, is it not?
It is, absolutely, and it's perhaps a different way than most people think about shape-shifting. Let me back up a little bit.
All right.
And talk about what I call the master identity narrative, the work I told you about that originated with Louis Mel Madrona, but I've taken it, and put my own flavor on it. And I love that name because it is a narrative. And our identity is just a story, which is a narrative, which comes from all of the events of our life, our own experiences, our family, our culture, our community. So we have a particular conversation that we call, or other people would call, our identity, which is self-reinforcing and basically leaves us all living into the past instead of the future. In other words, the things that happen to us are programmed to happen again and again. So if we're in a victim story, we're doing that. If we're in a I don't have any money story, we're going to be continuing to live into that. Or I can't find a good relationship, all of those things that are important to people. So the first thing is to actually identify, which we do in this thing, what is the story? And we begin to move from being a player in our story to realizing we actually have the ability to author that story. Yeah. And one of the ways that we do that is through shape-shifting. And so what is shape-shifting? Shape-shifting is an energetic transfiguration from one form into another. Traditionally, you hear about a shaman who will shapeshift into a jaguar or an eagle, and in that way receive the power and the gifts and strengths and talents, and learn about those by shapeshifting. In many cases, that people, and I haven't personally seen this, but I trust people that have seen this, that that a shaman actually does shapeshift into a different form. So what are we shapeshifting into? Well, those are energetics that we're doing. We're shapeshifting into a different energy. And you're in this work that I'm doing, you're shapeshifting from the old energy of this master identity narrative into a new, larger contextual story, which isn't about changing or fixing anything. It's about enlarging the story. So those thoughts and beliefs you have about being unworthy, or being not enough, or I can't do this, or I'm not that kind of person, those can be there still, but in a larger context, what becomes important is, how am I going to live my divine purpose and express my my gifts and my strengths and my talents into the world, into the community. So basically what we're doing is shifting into the writer of a hero or a heroine's journey, which means, I'm using the classic Joseph Campbell aspect of the hero's journey, where you feel the calling and you leave and home and you step out into the world and you go through challenges and changes and meet obstacles on the road, and eventually, something deep inside you is pulled forth, that you face these obstacles and these changes, and you have a transformational experience, and then you, out of that, then in order to both share and continue to have that, you take it back to the community and you share that in your community, and you make a difference in the community from which you came and in the world. So that's a classic shamanic journey. So that's shape-shifting. You're moving into an entire new realm of being ontologically. You are being differently, and you have a new possibility available. And it's not about change again, and it's not about fixing something. It really is about an energetic transformation that we go through. And that transformation is embedded in language. If you write me, I'll send you the last newsletter that I just sent out yesterday on language and words and transformation or change and power. And so language, we're basically, as an author of our life, we're re-languaging our lives and our future. That's what we're doing, and discovering how language gives us who we are. And that's a longer story, but I'm happy to send you the article if somebody wants to write Michael at welloflight.com. Yeah.
Wonderful. I love it. Keep going.
So you're reclaiming your basic power that's been given up to many different areas, from soul loss, from the conversations that we live in, from the trance of unworthiness that most of us, particularly in the Western world, are caught in. And the aspect of community is very important. So when I do my work, I create a sacred sanctuary in non-ordinary reality where people meet, and that's our online community. And I have to say, when I first started working with Shift, I thought, I don't know how I can do this. I'm used to teaching in person, and I don't know how this will work, and I hate Facebook, and I don't, blah blah blah. And so I still hate Facebook, actually.
Me too.
But I have to tell you, the private group that we set up on Facebook is one of the most amazing places I've ever been. And people come to that and they share authentically and real stuff. It's not like, I saw a bird in a tree today. It's really the kind of sharing that makes you weep when you hear people's story and sharing the challenges that they're up against and how they're overcoming those challenges and taking on those challenges. And so it's really beautiful to see that. And so, that work then, if you practice that work, will build new neural pathways, and it will change your whole both physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being.
No, I love this. I really love what you said about enlarging our story and that it's an energetic transformation. I love that. So do you actually do journeys, shape-shifting journeys, where you are doing that? You have this energetic transformation in the journeys?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's a big part of the work, yeah.
Yeah. So because all of the shape-shifting I've done, is, becoming the eagle, flying and embodying the qualities of the eagle, like farsightedness and et cetera, but vision. It's interesting how you're going to do shape-shifting. I mean, it's to completely change the languaging, to reclaim they can reclaim their power. And reconnect. I think it's exciting.
Reconnect with the web of life, too.
Yes.
And again, to go back to something you said earlier, it really is about wholeness.
Yeah.
And
yes,
we live fragmented
the other thing
lives.
that I love is that you. Yep. I liked what you said about the trance of unworthiness too, because I work with people sort of to kind of figure out what their core beliefs are, and then change, to transform them, change the languaging, and so on around core beliefs. And the core belief, for instance, one that I have worked on for years is that I have to be perfect to be loved.
Yeah.
And that's, like you were saying, sort of that trance of unworthiness is in the West. And that perfectionism and feeling like I have to do something to be loved rather than really just be loved for who I am is something I see in a lot of my clients as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That term actually I stole from Tara Brach, who I adore and is a wonderful teacher. She works a lot with the unworthiness issues, and she calls it the trance of unworthiness.
I think it's true. I really do. So that helps me understand how you're using shape-shifting in a new way. And also what you said about, the power of language and relanguaging, which is another one of your modules. And reclaiming our lost power, all of those are modules that you'll be teaching during this mentoring course.
I think that one of the ones that's the most fun, I love it anyway, because it rattles people's cage so much, and I kind of like rattling people's cage, and that is to live a complaint-free life. What if
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it. That's my favorite one of all of them. To say something about that, because boy, do we all complain too much.
Oh yeah, not just outwardly, but in our head. And so that's just a huge issue that and it's so debilitating, and it so impacts the quality of our lives and the lives of the people around us. Of course, the worst form of that is gossip, which really causes amazing impact on people's lives and your own life. So when we're being complaint-free, first of all, it's homework to practice it for 24 hours and see if it's even possible for you. And most people can't even do it for 24 hours. But it also brings up a lot of the stories about why and about looking good and about the strategies that were developed from the soul loss aspect. So all these things for me all tie together into a whole fabric. And so when we're looking at complaint-free, a lot of that has to do with strategies that we developed to get what we weren't getting when we were a child. And so if if I complain or if I do something like that, it might be a way that I am either manipulating a situation or getting what I want or wearing people down, So we're working with that, but there's enormous power, and it's all again comes back to language too. It's our way of interrupting that trance of unworthiness. So we do process around that. We learn how our complaints can actually be doorways or portals to a higher level of consciousness and a greater sense of being. And it's a real access to living the life of a miraculous life. If you cut out the complaints then and stop looking for what's wrong, we tend to focus in life on what's wrong. Something's wrong. And I'm going to find out what it is. Something's wrong with me or you or it, but something's wrong. And so when we begin to interrupt the whole area of complaints, then we interrupt the trance of unworthiness with our love, with loving whatever is arising in us. But those complaints now, instead of being something that we wanted to fix and change, become doorways to, well, what's behind that complaint? If I'm complaining that I can't find a good partner, for instance, or I'm complaining that I don't have enough money, well, the complaint is keeping that whole issue stuck and embodied. But then if I go in and look at, well, what's actually happening there? And I journey into the essence of that. What is that complaint providing for me, and how is it keeping me from having what I want? And where did it come from? What's the source of that? And then begin to write a new script, because now we're dealing with the reality that's behind it and not the complaint. And we shift our focus from what's not working to what's actually working. And as my friend Lynn Twist always says, what you appreciate appreciates. It grows. Just like if you're focused on lack, you'll have a growth of lack. If you're in terms of talking about money that way or anything else, love, whatever. So we move into a place of actual gratitude, and that's a big part really of my work is really getting people into a space of grateful living and being of service.
Yeah, in fact, that's your last module, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Is how we can live gratefully and, change that negativity and that complaining. I work with a lot of people who are ill and seriously ill. And I find that many times it's this need for attention and need for love that the complaining is to fill something up that feels empty, that there's a hole inside, and that also fear and the ego, fear/ego is to me the source of a lot of the complaining.
Absolutely. Well said.
And being stuck, a lot of my clients who complain a lot are stuck. It's a way to be able to stay stuck and stay stuck in that place. And there's a fear of moving forward or a fear of believing that it could be incredible. And then they'll be disappointed if it isn't. So yeah, I love that part of your course, how we can manage our words and be complaint free, which, as you said, doing it for 24 hours is a challenge.
Well, that module comes right after play, or actually the gratitude part of it does. But, also learning how to play. There's a great Robert Frost poem called Two Tramps at Mud Time. And it's, in New England, when it's raining and it's muddy out, these two tramps come inside and they're philosophizing about work and play, and one says to the other, but yield who will to their separation. My object in living is to unite my avocation and my vocation, as my two eyes make one in sight, only where work and love are one, only where work and need are one, and work is play for mortal stakes, is the deed ever really done for heaven and the future's sake. And I think play is such an important aspect of growth. All primates, their greatest learning time is during the playtime. Yes. And I think we need to start learning how to play more. And I always call it terminal seriousness, to get over ourselves and our terminal seriousness about life and have fun with it. And so my work always has to have an element of play, or I'm not interested.
I agree with you. I am playing more in my life now than I ever have. And I have taken myself way too seriously, for most of my life, and have felt sort of driven to save the world in a way. And so I'm playing more, and part of that is cutting back on my radio shows and cutting back on this book tour, and I'm going to, I told you in an email, I'm going to Crete for a month. And so it's important to play. And of course, I know I'll do some writing while I'm there, but it's going to be fun. I'm going to be more spontaneous in the moment, being able to see how I'm feeling right this minute, which I've been doing a lot more lately. And I think it's really checking into our intuitions and not being so busy, and just really seeing what it is that we're feeling in the moment, and we can be more spontaneous.
Go play in Crete. When are you going?
I'm going for the month of May.
Lovely.
I'm so excited. So anything that you would like to say, maybe repeat your website. Your shift course begins on March 16th. Anything you'd like to end with as we head towards the end of the show, Michael?
Well, I'm just grateful to you for having me on, and grateful to our listeners for, people listening to this type of show, or people who want to make a difference with their lives and open up and are stepping into the wonderful evolutionary transition that we're in the middle of now. And I would love to have some of you join us at the course. You can email me, Michael at welloflight.com. light.com. That's light.com. And you can go to the Shift Network, shamanismcourse.com. But mostly I'm just grateful. It's great to be able to talk to you and share ideas, and I look forward to doing that again sometime soon.
Wonderful. We'd like to have you on again. And thanks so much for all you do in the world, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
You too. So thank you also, my loyal listeners, for your investment in your own growth, your own, as Michael said today, that it's your own energetic transformation, your own enlarging of your story, your own being the hero of your own journey, the author of your own story. So I'm so glad that you were here today. So don't forget that my show is moved to the second and fourth Thursday of the month, and you can always listen to the archive shows anytime by going to transformationtalkradio.com and to my host page. And don't forget ever that you carry the light.
You've been listening to the transformative show, We Carry the Light, with host Dr. Susan Allison, the show that inspires you to find the light within and shine your light in the world. Who are you right now, and who do you want to be? What is it that makes you happy, helps you feel fulfilled, and living your purpose? Tune in every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, and let Dr. Susan help you discover that you carry the unique light that only you can shine.